Hello there, thank you so much for joining us on yet another episode of the Digest right here on Diamond TV. Now on 25th September 2021, part 1 of the Cadres Free Markets and Bus Station commenced, where different stakeholders acknowledged and are in support of political will exhibited by the Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. This week on the Digest, we bring you part 2 of Cadres Free Markets and Bus Station.
Ndine Mrs. Mwale. So kuyamba kugulisa muno market ndinayamba mu 1983 kugulisa muno market. Ndipo pamene ndinayamba kugulisa muno market. Pamene ndionera kuchokera paja palungu kufika pamanje naona kusiyana. Monga magaders muno market sitiribe nawo chongo sibabwera muno market ubolo tupanga chongo apa kulibe. Pamene kwenze unipi benzotiresa monga kugulisa orupanje benzotuza tingenani market bwirani kugulisire market osagulisira panje. So tikambogulisira panje benzotipisha upakana market tangena tambogulisira muno mukati market. So kuyambira hapo monga pa unipi sinaoneko choipa chili chonse. Oro muri ba PF sinaoneko choipa chili chonse. Oro muno mu UPND sinaoneko choipa chili chonse. Nakaraoko ndwera ndakulibe monga chongo monga kuba mabasi so kuli chabe bwino kuli chezi muntu aziendera wendo kwera weka basi kwa mene uyenda. Noti monga mabene enzo pangira chongo chan enzo tisokoneza pamanje stivutika kwenda kumaoda ngati ni basi yenda kusoweto yenda che straight weka kwenda okwera yenda kusoweto. Ndicho amene chankala chotikondweresa monga muno nthawi ya UPND. Ero kulibe monga ivi pamene enzo chita magadazi bakaleta maoda barimi beve bayikirirako apa manja kuribe vichavoikirirako pamene benzo chita magadas kuti batenga mtengo bayikirirako apa tioda cha bebo no bwino.
My name's Leonard Minyoi Mashewani. I was the Lusaka Marketeers Cooperative Union chairperson. Prior to the elections, we had a tough time as cooperative markets. If it wasn't through the grace of God, these cooperative markets would have been taken by the council and indeed the cadres. But thank God, we managed it. Like in our market as a cooperative market, one need to be honest. We didn't have any interference from the PF cadres. We were working as a family. However, we are happy simply because before the present or incumbent president, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, he has been pronouncing that cooperative markets should be left alone. And we are rest assured that definitely these cooperative markets are not going to be touched by any cadres. Our humble request from the present president is whenever there are empowerments as cooperative markets are supposed to be also empowered. So far, what has been happening, they only empower markets, especially markets from Copper Belt. But here in Lusaka, West, as cooperative markets, We have vulnerable people here. We've got widows, widowers. We've got orphans here. They get their life from here. Once we are empowered, definitely we can do much better than where we are here. The good thing with the cooperative markets, the previous people, they didn't understand that us as a cooperative market, we've got an act which passed through the parliament, Act number 20 of 1998. So them they were trying to compare with their Lusaka Council Act. No. Us, this cooperative market, they started before 1964. We thank the late His Excellency Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, who really understood the meaning of cooperatives. And I'm really pretty sure and happy that the present president, who is an economist, is going to follow according to the Act of number 20 of 1998.
Yeah, because the matter of fact is that those people, when they are employed through the council. That is, they are given a contract. Mostly those contracts were running for 3 years. So you'd find that they were doing what was calling headhunting. Headhunting is where you just find an individual and say, okay, this one is suitable to run such kind of facility. And then they go through the normal process of having minutes from the Human Resource Committee of the council. And then the management, our role as management, was to actually implement the policy that the council which made, because that committee or Human Resource Committee, whatever they decide goes to the full council. And then when the full council ratifies or approves what has come from the committee, it becomes policy for us to implement. So in short, most of the people that were employed as managers, they were headhunted. And they were headhunted by, of course, an arm which you'd say is political. Because as you are aware, councillors, MPs, and they belong to a political party before they become probably civic leaders. So that's what was obtaining. That was the reality. But it was formalized. We believe that the local government does have a commission in place. And we also believe that the councillors themselves, they are a creature of law. I mean, the council itself, rather. So we believe that going forward, the issue of headhunting should be done away with. The most ideal situation is, if there's a vacancy, let it be advertised. People undergo interviews, and then the best candidate is selected for that particular position. If not, the normal channel where individuals are employed through the Local Government Service Commission takes precedence, where people who are commissioned end up running those facilities, because then they will look at it from a professional point of view. They will not be biased in their judgment. They will not favor this one because they belong to this party or disadvantage this other one from this political party. So going forward, we believe that is what we should do. The president, the government have been very clear. They want to do things on merit. No one should be looked at based on the color of their skin, their surname, or who they are affiliated to. They have to be Zambians and they have to be qualified. And that is what is essential in the way we are going to manage these facilities going forward.
So what we expect is that the New Dawn government will help restore, the law and order. We will expect the rule of law in all that happens in this subsector. And the way forward, is for the law enforcement officers, to take their place, the regulatory authorities to take their place, without any political intimidation, without any fear of retribution from, the so-called party functionaries. Like we saw, some bus drivers were being axed, they were being macheted, they ended up in hospital. Some have got irreparable injuries to, their limbs, you know, they've lost the functionality in their limbs, you know, because of the attacks, you know, they previously received. And it is our prayer and hope that the new dawn is really a new dawn, you know, in terms of freedoms, in terms of protection of businesses. Because I'll say this to you, a great nation is not built from outside. A great nation is not built from macroeconomic activities. It comes from the microeconomic activities. That one little bus operator operating freely and growing his business, a second one, a third one, a fourth one. Then you have a mass of critical players in the economy who develop the economy. And that's how we even generate employment. At the end of the day, if all these microeconomic players are enabled to operate freely, they are enabled to grow, you will begin to have a robust national economy, and the nation becomes a great nation. So the primary player in building a nation is those micro operators of buses, micro operators of bus stores, you know, operators, even in the markets, those marketeers. Once they flourish, the nation will flourish. So that's where we want it to go. And that's our great prayer, that in the new dawn government, there shall be protection of the Zambian business entrepreneur. There shall be nurturing of Zambian business enterprises, you know, which includes the bus and taxi operations, you know, as we know it. So that's how we go as a nation, and that's how we begin to come out of the economic doldrums in which we are to a robust and vibrant nation that everybody will begin to admire.
Like I said, the council is just one of those pieces that need to have this sustained. But what is gratifying is that you are seeing the same momentum being exhibited by our police service. In fact, today there was even a directive from the Inspector General of Police indicating to all the officers countrywide that they need to work with the councils to bring law and order in these facilities. Already, that is a positive sign that we are not going to fight this battle alone. But beyond that, we have the political party in power now. They have clearly indicated to their members they do not want anyone to be in these facilities, because the mandate, the law rather provides that the councils should operate these facilities. So we can already see from the tone that is there that we are all pulling in the same direction. No one is pulling in a different direction. But what is key is to make sure that the grassroots from the political parties, the ruling party or the opposition, they also have to pull in the same direction. We need to toe the same line to ensure that they understand that indeed the mandate to run these facilities belongs to the council. And theirs is to support us to make sure that we do the right thing. If we have challenges or we have shortcomings, theirs is to point out those shortcomings so that we can improve the service delivery. Because at the end of the day, the responsibility is not just on one individual or one institution. It's on all of us, including the traders and the bus operators themselves. Like today we went to City Market. The town clerk gave a very clear example to say, if we have, for example, in City Market, 3,000 traders in a day, we also have probably 1,000 bus operators and their conductors. They are there. If an individual who is a cadre goes there to try and extort money from them, they can actually undertake a citizen arrest because they are in huge numbers. Why can't they work together as well to help us? Because sometimes these things happen at a time maybe when the officers that are in charge of running these facilities, they are attending to one section of the market or one section of the bus station. Or maybe like in some cases, officers start working at 6 and they knock off at maybe 19:30. But what happens between maybe 04 and 6 hours when we're not there? Or what happens after the officers have knocked off? Of course, we are coming up with modalities to see how we can ensure that officers are there probably throughout 24/7, like the way Intercity is for all the other facilities, so that there's no gap. But the question is, what are they also doing as operators and traders to make sure that they also help us enforce or adhere to the directive that government has given us to say only council should collect money in these facilities. Only the council should allocate spaces, trading spaces or operating spaces to the operators in these markets and bus stations.
First of all, the situation is quite calm for us, and the government of His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema is going to look at a situation where people must respect the laws of this country. And on the side of us as marketeers, or rather as Zanamaka, I think this is why we actually yesterday were launching an informal sector digital platform where we want to ensure that our people are paying to the rightful institutions, the local authorities in these markets and bus stations. So we launched a product with Spain Zambia, where we want the local authorities across the country use this application so that we know where our money is going and what is happening with our money. Even when a market somewhere is dilapidated, we will remind government to put up a structure. Okay? If the marketeers want empowerment, we remind government to give us that money, because we'll be able to know how much money we've contributed to national development. And so that never used to happen that time, and it was very difficult. How do we ask the government to build a market? And this is why you see most of the markets are dilapidated, and no one had respect for the informal sector. No one had respect for the people. And so Hakainde Hichilema is quite a very serious person. I think, like you, all of us learned that even before he was ushered into office, the first thing he did was to respect the people by removing those cadres. And so it's an opportunity for our association, with the mandate that we have, to bring empowerment across the country to all the marketeers, the traders, and the small-scale farmers. Because if this sector is not empowered, it means that we'll still go backwards. We need, even like we used to see in the past, where this MP goes in the market and flashing out money. That was not the correct things to do. We need this government to consider working with us, because we already have programs, issues to do with capitalization, social empowerment with NAPSA, and life insurance, and another program that we have, we partnered with the National Health Insurance. Because the good thing about us is that we don't ask money from anyone. Because a cadre is someone who begs. We are not beggars. We initiate. God has given us the wisdom to create something for the people, and that's what we believe we can do, even us as individual citizens. It's not about Hakainde Hichilema. It's not about the new government. It's about ourselves. What is it that we are doing in our own space? What value are we adding to this country? We are not beggars. We create. And so, like I mentioned, social security is because of Zanamaka. We influenced, and today we have social security for the informal sector. So the marketeers, the traders, and everyone in the informal sector, when they grow old, they're able to have this pension. The best tax we are talking about, these are programs that can not only empower the marketeers or the traders, these are programs that can empower ourselves as a country. Because a country, we cannot allow a situation where every time we are borrowing money from other countries, every time we have debt. And this is why you see that you guys in employment, your salary is not enough, because the tax is always on you. But if the 6 million plus people are participating in terms of paying these taxes, contributions, it means that this country can develop.
I've talked about that kind of restoration, the book, the act, which was given out by Parliament in 2007. This time around, we appreciate what the local authority has started doing, engaging all the stakeholders. Just a week ago, we had a consultative meeting with the local authority, Lusaka City Council, where they called all the stakeholders, all the operators, ourselves, and other people in transport and market leadership. We submitted our views, and we even told them the best way to go, and the book which is going to guide us is a Bus and Market Act of 2007. The Market and Bus Station Act of 2007. This will help us. This will guide us how to run markets and bus stations. So that book, as I stand here as one of the stakeholders, I'm going to see to it that we follow the guidelines from that book.
Well, the commander of a political party is a president. And like the previous scenarios where we had presidents who were not saying anything about cadres, it means that that's what they wanted. But in the New Dawn government, the president himself, Hakainde Hichilema, before he was put in office, the first pronouncement he made was removal of cadres from these markets. And that's a message enough to everyone. Of course, the UPND cadres also were thinking like when they come into power, of course they'll be in those markets, they'll be in those bus stations, so they begin to make money like their colleagues were doing. But somehow it's not possible for them. Even when there are a fraction of these people doing the same, like they go into this market, I think because they don't have much information, I think through certain structures, this information must go down, and even ourselves as an association and the marketeers themselves, we are talking to these people. I don't think that will be tolerated, because the people, the marketeers have already been sensitized that no politics will be allowed in these markets. And markets are like any other company. We don't need to engage ourselves into politics as marketeers. So we want these markets and bus stations to remain non-political. These are business places. So we need to concentrate on what we are doing other than engaging ourselves into politics. That our businesses will thrive and our country will go forward.
We are still receiving reports across the nation. We've seen on a larger scale the disappearance of all cadres. Of course, so we don't want to be political ourselves. We are non-political. We are a non-partisan association. But with the coming in of the new government, we saw that all those people who are operating in stations, who were masquerading as cadres, have walked away. But we're beginning to see another group of people coming in. Where there's a vacuum, there will always be something that will fill that vacuum. But we've seen that the old order has gone away. We've seen it is very, very obvious when you go into the stations, the old order has gone away, and the new order is what we're waiting to see to take root. Where, for instance, in bus stations, the city councils, the district councils, the municipal councils are the custodian of those places. They are the managers of those places. Even the collection of council revenue and everything should be done by council employees, the revenue collectors that come around. So we're beginning to see that they are operating more freely, and we don't see, these dark shadows standing behind them, to push things. And it has given us new hope, fresh hope that we're having a new beginning. And that new beginning will be one of law and order. The chaos that we used to see, for instance, at peak hours, in certain areas, it is beginning to disappear. So we see that this hope is real, and it may be carried through as we wish, and see us go to a more fruitful and enabled environment for flourishing of business.
Indeed, that should be one positive direction, because some of the people that were on the street, it's either they were chased from these facilities, and actually it's my appeal even now that the people that are in these markets, they know each other. There should be no vengeance in terms of, say, okay, these chased us because they perceived us to belong to this political party. Now it's our turn. We need to chase them from the market.
Silently, it is happening.
Yeah. So, but what that means, it fuels the cycle. It doesn't. Then the cycle just goes on and on. It will never end. But at some point, there has to be somebody who becomes the bigger person, who would say, okay, what was done to us was wrong. What was done was wrong. Let's have a fresh start. But for as long as that continues, it means the cycle is not broken. It will go on and on. But at the end of the day, we are all citizens of Zambia. We have no any other country to go to, or we have no any other place to go and seek opportunities from, so that we can sustain our families and ourselves. So that is my appeal, because we are in this together, all of us. Those of us in these offices, to serve the people, we are here to serve the people, we are not here to serve ourselves. And the people there that we serve, we are in this together, and we need to work together to just bring harmony for once in these facilities.
I'll say this for the last time. We reaffirm our commitment to ending cadreism in public places. Council authorities and not cadres will collect revenues and manage markets, bus stops. Full stop. That's it. There was no need to run a debate around this issue. Let's step aside a bit. Why did we say cadres will not run markets? What was the issue? The issue was, in the previous government, that cadres took away market stores from citizens. Cadres from one political party took away stores from widows. And if you tried to fight for your store, you were beaten. That was the issue. Number one. Two fundamental issues. Cadres controlling the markets, taking away market stores from citizens. It doesn't matter which political party they are, but they're citizens of Zambia who should be free to trade in these markets. Cadres took the law in their own hands. Somehow, councils obliged themselves to allow cadres of one political party, let's be specific, PF, to exercise hooliganism in markets, violence in the markets. It will not happen. It will not happen again. Second issue was that cadres were collecting revenues meant to be collected by councils, drying the councils of much needed revenue to provide services, water, toilets, clean toilets in the markets, garbage collection, even paying salaries of council workers. PF cadres took away a lot of money, stole a lot of money, and they were allowed to do that for 10 years. Hear me out. These two things we did not like as a party, we do not like as citizens of Zambia. Violence, abuse, and taking revenue. They were not just taking revenue from marketeers, they were taking revenue even from taxi drivers, minibus drivers in Kulima there. Yes, you went and delivered a truck of tomatoes or cabbage at Soweto. The cadres took that truck away from you and gave you a price, a lower price, and they sold your truck of
tomatoes and vegetables at a higher price and made a profit, and the farmer went home with a loss. We were elected by those farmers. We were elected by those taxi drivers, minibus drivers, by the woman marketeer whose 5 boxes of tomato was grabbed from the Cadres when she took 20 boxes and was left with 15 boxes. And the price was being determined by Cadres. It will not happen again. I want to address UPND. If it was bad when it was done by PF, it is bad when it's done by UPND. Hear me out. Just hear me out. Law and order is part of the ticket that brought us into government. We will not run away from that ticket obligations. The issues of PF taking stores, all the stores in the last 10 years, can be dealt with properly between the council and citizens whose stores were taken away, grabbed away by Cadres. That's no-brainer. It's not a debate issue. It's a no-brainer. The markets are now open, bus stops are open, taxi ranks are open to all taxi drivers. Because there were taxi drivers who were chased from the taxi ranks because they were not PF. They must return to those taxi ranks. Does that require intellectualism? So are the marketeers. Not UPND marketeers, but all Zambians. All of them. We want to bring civility in the market so that any citizen can trade there as long as they've capital, they've accessed the store, working with the council. I'm aware that there are market cooperatives. I'm aware of that. Those are managed under, I think, local authorities as well. There's an arrangement they have there. Let's not confuse things here. To my colleagues in the UPND, this debate must end today. Our youth leaders across the country, do not be the enemy of your own government. Do not undermine your own party. Do not become the new thugs in town. We are civilized people. Trade in the market. You were taken away from the market. Work with the councils. Discuss those issues. You can't have one political party occupying all the stores. Because that's what PF did over 10 years. That's an issue. But deal with that issue. That is not an issue that now entitles you to go back to the market in a violent way and begin to frighten the very voters that gave you the opportunity to run this country.
We have an open door policy as a local authority, because the local authority, actually, that's the reason we're called local. We are closer to the people where things are happening. But we might not be everywhere all the time because of the nature of maybe the other functions we need to perform. But the people on the ground, they need to be honest, they need to be truthful. Whatever challenges they are facing, they can come to the local authority, share those challenges they have with us. They can go to the other arms of government or other agencies of government, the police, they are there. They can share whatever information that they have. But if they keep quiet, we will not know. And at the end of the day, we will be accused of not doing a good job. When in the actual fact, people are hiding information from us. So let people come out in the open, but let them tell the truth. Because we have also discovered that sometimes people don't give accurate information, maybe to the media. We had a case of Comesa Market where an individual paid for 3 days. That translated into 15 kwacha. And word went around that the council has increased fees. When in the actual fact we had not, that individual just paid for 3 days. So the information needs to be correct so that together we can help each other. Because where there is misinformation, there is usually confusion there, and nothing good comes out of confusion.
That's That's it for tonight's episode on The Digest, and there must be no debate over this matter, as again the President of the Republic of Zambia outrightly dismissed lawlessness in the designated areas that by law have specific authorized people to manage them. Remember, you can give us your feedback by dropping us a message on our Facebook page or also emailing us at projects@diamondtvzambia.com. On behalf of my crew, my name is Francesca Piribanda. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and take care.